history, give me the facts. You can taste, touch, feel it, see it, with your senses, because I'm a natural-born empath and have to spend most of my time away from everything that's going on, and there's a reason for that. But when I was a child, I went over in White Sands just to meet people that would take me up again. From the 4-year-old, I was taken up, and then again in White Sands. But these men in black, Ken, they put me in places so I could be a part of the storyline, but they didn't tell me what my purpose was. So there's not only the past lives, or what our memories, our dreams, our sacred soul come in with memories, or come back and be a walk-in and re-experience it. There is also the fact that in this world there are people coming and going, and my husband and I didn't know which ones were off planet or on planet. So we have the spacecraft of Earth origin, and we have spacecraft not of Earth origin, and the Ebens, and then there's various types of grays. And Linda Moulton Howell has some of the stuff on that. And, there's the tall and the short grays, and they're supposed to be friends, and some say they're not. And there's the ones that look like the little Japanese people, little short people, sort of, more of a tannish gray, or some say yellow. But then I've got so many stories to tell, but I don't necessarily think it has to do with any secret once we say it. It depends on the person listening as to what they want to record, and that was the importance of me, you, and Janet meeting. And I do believe what you said, that they put us in place, or I don't know if you want to say the Mandela effect, or no coincidence, or crossing each other's paths, but just like you and I must have crossed in Bethpage, and we must have crossed at the Windsor, and I must have seen you. But who is directing this stage? This is amazing stuff, if you know what I mean. It's amazing that we're talking right now to me. It's great stuff.
Well, that's
you know what I'm saying?
That's the key, I think, and that is because at this time of I thought I was the one that dubbed the comment full disclosure about 2 years ago or a little longer, and it's the fact that those of us who are willing to risk everything and come forward with information that we each have a portion of this puzzle. And then those the other people out there who have been involved, such as you just said that we're bound to have come across paths. Well, absolutely, I'm sure that we have, and that the ETs that have been involved in manipulating this to get us Earthlings, Homo sapiens sapiens, or whatever you want to call us, to a point where we can deal with the fact that we're not alone. We are not the only intelligent beings in the world. That we are ready now, if we're going to be able to take our place amongst the the EVs and the universe, we need to get our acts together. And I think that's what we've been picked and chosen for, even all the way back to our childhood. In my case, because of I'm sure things that my fathers had been involved in, and my mother, and it seems to me now looking back that that's why I'm using the term chosen by extraterrestrials, and that's not being arrogant. It's just it's the only way I can answer about how I wound up at the right place with the right stuff to do the right thing.
Well, let me mention this, and I'm going to let Janet weigh in on this, Ken.
Uh-huh.
When you and I met for the first time, probably not the first time, because my mind keeps telling me that's not the first time you saw Ken Johnston. And I don't know what part of me that is, but we all have a soul and a conscience. But let's just say that the time in human form in an avatar 3D body, because getting off into spiritual science makes people get lost. So I'm trying to keep it 3D, folks, boots on the ground. But boots on the ground, meaning human avatar. When William Tompkins and I met, true story, and Dr. Sala was trying to establish that. And Janet said me and him on, I think one of my shows or her shows, because we both syndicate, but the fact was the men that arranged my life for me, there's always been a lot of men, masculine. I had one woman I met, and she had a younger woman with her. I signed a lot of contracts in the government, folks. So, but one of the groups took me to a hangar. I think it was in San Diego, where the Qualcomm Stadium was. But they had me meet him in a hangar, His name was Bill, and the reason I believe it was William Tompkins, because I'm pretty good at memory with faces. I can't remember names worth if I had to save my life. But I remembered Bill because it was the weirdest situation. Now, let me tell you the reason why. I was just going about, milling about smartly. I was out of the military uniform part, and I was driving a truck, and I didn't realize how much, as you got your clearances here and there, but I was cleared to drive for the U.S. Treasury, carry money, and Microsoft, lots of computer. I was carrying millions of dollars, okay? But when I'd go do airplane or jet parts or secret parts, right, Ken, you know what I'm talking about, going on to the military bases and carrying aircraft parts or whatever, but I met him. But what's so funny is I didn't know it was William Tompkins till some of the stuff started coming out, and I went, oh, my God, that's the guy I met at the hangar, and why? And so I've got all these pieces, Ken, in my life of being sent. These men, even though I was working, I was driving a truck in and out of places because I was cleared, why did they want me to meet this guy, Bill? Now, the reason I think it was William Tompkins was he had the weirdest hair, and he looked like it was the same guy that I remembered from Houston, but I don't know for sure. But I know that they said because of me and him and what we were working on together, which freaked me out because of the ET stuff. And I don't know how – they didn't say, oh, we're Majestic 12 or, the ET or the UFO stuff. They didn't say that, but they said it in a way that I knew what they were talking about. And that can happen, folks. These people either with ESP or they'll say just enough they'll take you places and put you places to make a reality or one of these lines happen, Ken. And I need you to know that because you happened, of all the things you could have talked to me about when you met me this last time with Janet and May, was you had his book. And then Janet wound up being with him and pushing his wheelchair just a month or two behind. So, Janet, go ahead and put your piece in on the UFO Secret Space or William Tompkins story in there because we all know he liked women. You want to talk first?
TJ, hang on to your knickers because I'm at a great contact with William Bill Tompkins. Stand by.
Good. So we'll share our stories. So I was walking at Contact in the desert, and I decided to go the other direction, coming back from the bathroom, and I ran into this woman who was her father was Bill Tompkins' boss. And he had just come out with Selected by Extraterrestrials, and he started making all these YouTubes. And thank God he did because he didn't have much time with us. He came out full disclosure for Bill Tompkins, and then he was gone the following later that year. So I said to Sasha, I said we have to go to the MUFON conference in Vegas because we're supposed to hang out with Bill Tompkins, which it's really hard to hang out with these people because they're swamped by all these people. But I just followed my guidance, and so I signed up for it and got our plane tickets, and I signed up for a table, and I was sharing a table with Lisa Johnston. And when I arrived and I go, well, I don't know how this is going to happen, but when I arrived at the conference and I went to find my table, it was right across from Bill Tompkins. I went, we scored. See, the ETs always help me. It's really amazing. When I'm supposed to do something, I'm working for them, that it all falls into place. So there I was, right across from him, and I was helping him and his wife. Now, his wife was the one in the wheelchair. Bill Tompkins was supposed to be across the casinos, the big facility, and these he had all these teeny boppers around him. That's the best way to describe it. It's like he was a rock star. And everybody discovered Bill Tompkins, and they wanted to talk to him, and they wanted to take pictures with him, and so I was looking at the watch because I was going to go over and be at this panel, and I went over to him and I said, Bill, you got to go right now. You're not going to make it. You're going to miss your own panel. So we got his wife in. I helped. I said, look, fans, he'll be back after an hour and a half, and you can get your autograph sent. He's got to go now. So But I was expecting somebody from the conference to come over and get him and say, "Hey, Bill, but no, nobody did." So I rescued him, put his wife in the chair. I was pushing his wife, and then I looked over, and there was a point where we were really running late, so I had to start running with her, pushing her. And he's running. He's 93, 94 years old. He's running. He's keeping up with me, and he's not winded at all. I said, "Bill, are you okay?" He said, "Oh, yeah, I'm fine. Let's get going." So I had a wonderful time with Bill. 2 weeks later, he was dead. The official story was he fell and hit his head, and then apparently he recovered, or he was up from hitting his head, and then he fell again, and then he was gone. So rushed to the hospital and died. So that's all I know about Bill. But he, his name is Bill Tompkins. My father's name is Bill Thompson. Very close in name. They're both World War II vets. And he had, Bill Tompkins had this photographic memory. That's why he was selected by extraterrestrials. And so that's one thing I'd like to talk about is what abilities do we have? Why do they select us? And apparently when you're able to communicate telepathically with extraterrestrials, that's a special ability. Now, are we born with those? A lot of us are genetically manipulated, and this is what I'm finding out in my research, and they can go down to the semen and egg level, genetically alter us, and then plant us into our mother's wombs. What was her name? Cynthia Crawford was genetically altered, sperm and egg, maybe the zygote, and then she was put into her mother's womb alongside her sister. So they were twins, but she was outside the uterus and the other twin was inside the uterus, and they weren't very compatible when there was a transplant needed. They were not genetically compatible. So there's a phenomenon that's coming out when we interview these secret space programs, super soldiers, and apparently there are several million of them. So, it's likely that since we're traveling in the same circles, we're going to reconnect. And for some reason, they're allowing us to remember. So we're having this phenomenon where we reconnect with somebody from the program, and we're getting all these ahas, and I remember this and I remember that. So the last couple of days, I've witnessed Ken and TJ going, "Oh, I remember this. Oh, and then that." So it's very exciting when you get this validation.
Well, it's working in this reality versus memories versus past lives, near death, out of body, and just New Age is getting a bad rap for some of the things that it taught us. And you can take it through all the, go back to Ahura Mazda if you want to, or, Zarathustra or Thoth or whoever, or all of the above. World religions, it depends on each person's individual perceptions. And some of them, the religious values are what they have, and that's fine. America was, the thrust of where we are now was based on it has historical value. So, we're supposed to be here now, enjoy being here in our avatars, our vehicles, our bodies. And still, most of us, even those that have no world religion, folks, and some people, including Richard Dolan, historically, we as historians, and I've been one of those a very long time, and with the Ace Folklife, at least from 2003, with the Smithsonian, and learning to talk to people and listen to people. And I got sent in Kentucky, and I was actually looking for Bigfoot, not UFOs, people seeing UFOs more over my house and telling me. And but the Yeti that was part of the history and in my life, and Tommy Oxblood was one of those with my husband in memory form, and to this day, their energy, the way they walk and talk, and Tom and Tommy at one point in their life reminded me of that, and the highest gold personages where I would be shown where to go, I've been guided, would be gold dust or a gold light. And I don't want to, don't start splitting hairs over what I'm saying. Just try to get the message. The message was for me, because people I haven't even shared most of this stuff in detail. So the fact is that we are all unique. We're all important.